This little girl executed as a spectacle has hung on the cross for days and nights, but the real horror? Every 500 meters, another child crucified, 163 total. A woman watches the carnage unfold. She marches toward the slave city Meereen, determined to make the nobles pay a heavy price for the deaths of these children. The nobles face Daenerys' army unshaken. They proudly confess killing those kids. Then they send a knight to provoke her, making him leap from his horse, publicly urinate in the direction of the enemy army. The aristocrats erupt in cruel laughter, mocking that Daenerys' soldiers are castrated eunuchs. Daenerys feels the burning humiliation. She needs someone to strike back immediately. Suddenly Daario steps forward, swearing vengeance in the queen's name. Daenerys offers him a warhorse, but Daario dismisses cavalry tactics, choosing to engage in single combat. The duel begins instantly. The knight charges straight at Daenerys. Nobles crowd the battlements, cheering their champion wildly. Daario remains perfectly calm, winks at the queen, then draws his blade, stabs the horse as I mid-charge. Rider and mount collapse together. Daario decapitates him with a curved sword. The execution flows like clockwork. The aristocrats freeze in disbelief. No one expects death in just 1 second. Then Daario returns the insult, flipping down his pants and urinating to mock them all. After cutting off the head, Daenerys turns toward the slaves. Her vengeance campaign is just beginning. The next moment, thousands of barrels soar into the sky, crashing down inside the city walls. Panic erupts among the citizens. However, the barrels contain no explosives, only chains and iron collars. A slave picks up a collar from the ground. He realizes these collars came from the crucified children. Before their arrival, Daenerys had already buried every child. Now, seeing nobles still smirking with arrogance, the slaves can no longer contain their fury. They vow to help Daenerys capture this city faster. Soon, the walls are covered with messages of hatred. Kill your masters. The nobles lift their heads in terror, spotting Daenerys' sigil flying high over the slave city's pyramid headquarters. Then, slaves surge from every direction, surrounding the noble, and swarm over him with knives until he dies. After the slaves' victory, they tear off their collars, chanting Daenerys' name, declaring her the new ruler of the city. But Daenerys still has unfinished business.
Remind me, Ser Jorah, how many children did the great masters nail to mileposts?
163, Khaleesi.
Yes, that was it.
She orders the Unsullied to crucify the nobles, forcing them to experience the children's terror. Ser Barristan rushes forward to stop her, arguing the city's liberation ends the need for vengeance. Even if these nobles deserve punishment, they should now receive mercy. Daenerys refuses to listen. The image of dying children haunts her. She'll make every noble pay. The Unsullied drive steel spikes through the nobles' limbs. Soon, screams of agony echo across Meereen. Standing atop the pyramid, Daenerys proudly listens to the nobles' cries. Above her, the Targaryen banner flutters forever, symbolizing her vow to protect the city and its people. The dragonlings grow stronger beside Daenerys every day. Their scales harden into armor no blade can pierce, but to the people this signals coming disaster. Though born from her own blood, they remain savage beasts at heart. Soon two begin slamming prey against the ground, viciously fighting over scraps. When Daenerys witnesses this violence, she rushes to separate them, but Drogon suddenly spins and unleashes a deafening roar. His rage spirals beyond her control. Daenerys realized in that moment, these creatures aren't Obedian hounds, they're fire-breathing monsters, and Drogon hungrier than ever. He attacked a flock of grazing goats. A boy freezes as the hulking beast approaches. Then Drogon exhales scorching flames, incinerating the entire herd. He snatches one blackened carcass and vanishes into the sky. Hours later in Meereen's palace, a shepherd brings a scorched bundle. Inside lie the charred remains of his goats. Daenerys pays triple compensation, silencing his anger. Then another commoner enters, holding a small horrifying bundle. When he unwraps it, the room chills to ice. A child's burnt body lies within, tiny hands still frozen trying to shield its face. Daenerys stares paralyzed. This 3-year-old should have been playing safely. Now the truth can't be ignored, and Drogon has vanished without a trace. To stop more deaths, she makes a heartbreaking choice. She drags Rhaegal and Viserion to the damp underground prison. Iron chains clamp around their necks. Once she promised slaves freedom, now she enslaves her own children. The two dragons wail like dying souls, their cries echoing through stone halls. Daenerys walks away in tears, and seals the iron door. Because of Drogon's rampage, his brothers suffer imprisonment. That night on the battlements, she spots Drogon returning, reaching to touch him, but the dragon swerves away. He ignores his mother, spreads his wings, and disappears into darkness, gone from her command forever. A dragon's roar suddenly tore through the sky. Everyone stared in terror at the same direction. Then Drogon unleashed its fierce flames. It dove down into the fighting pit, coming to save its mother from execution. Drogon landed and locked eyes with Daenerys. It instantly killed a charging son of the Harpy. Then it breathed fire upon the enemies. Flames swept across the battlefield. The pit filled with agonized screams. One son of the Harpy hurled a spear. The spear sank deep into Drogon's Drogon's flesh. Daenerys rushed forward immediately. She tried to pull the spear from Drogon. The pain made Drogon howl in agony. Thick scent of blood filled its mouth. Daenerys desperately tried to calm her dragon, but another spear struck Drogon again. Facing a dead end, Daenerys decided to do what she always desired. She would ride her child. She would ride her dragon. Daenerys climbed onto Drogon's back, commanding it to fly upward. Hearing its mother's order, Drogon soared over the crowds, moving swiftly forward. At that moment, Daenerys rode a dragon for the first time, flying freely through the skies. Finally, under Tyrion Lannister's watchful eyes, they flew away from the city. Later, after the Harpy unrest temporarily settled, Daenerys never returned to Meereen, but nobody knew that Daenerys was already hundreds of miles away. Drogon was too wounded to fly. Daenerys trekked alone through the wilderness. What she didn't expect, she stumbled upon a massive Dothraki Khalasar. Sensing danger, Daenerys dropped a ring to leave Yora a clue. Next thing she knew, a large Dothraki cavalry force surrounded her completely. They would present Daenerys to their Khal Moro to become his wife. Not long after, Yora discovered Daenerys' ring. Seeing Dothraki hoofprints covering the ground, Yora sensed the urgency. Their current forces could never match the Dothraki strength. With no alternatives, the two men risked their lives, heading toward the Dothraki camp to rescue Daenerys.